he failed to utilize logical analysis of the second and third order consequences. So what I mean by second and third order consequences is he didn't understand that after a Bitcoin ETF, inevitably everyone's going to focus on Ethereum. That's the second order consequence of a Bitcoin ETF. And seeing that after the ETF approval, the next logical ETF was for ETH, which would make the price go up more than Bitcoin, right? So that's sort of the second order consequence. That's what he didn't understand. Okay? So this is what you don't want to do. This is, when I say what not to do, chasing pumps, this is an example. An emotional decision not based on logic or process to buy something that feels good to buy because you're selling something that feels bad to own. Right at the point with which the underperformance changes and you would have ended up making money if you just held it. Okay? So let's give an example of a good decision. So recently, this is something that actually happened. I did a review of my portfolio a couple months ago, and I realized I was underexposed to Solana. So let's look at Solana. Now, I don't have the video on me, but I know exactly where on the chart I had filmed the video. So let's look at this. I think it was October or September 20th. Now, September 20th. It was right here. I put out a video where I basically said I have sold Arbitrum and I sold Blur and I have bought Solana. I doubled my Solana position, right? My overall Solana position became 2x more, right? And I realized when I reviewed this video, I don't own enough Solana, and I had lost conviction in Blur and Arbitrum, right? These were in my portfolio and I lost conviction. I didn't think that these were better coins than Solana. Because what I asked myself was, hey, I've got Arbitrum in my portfolio, I've got Blur in my portfolio. Do I like Arbitrum more than Solana? Do I think Arbitrum does better than Solana? And I thought to myself, no way. There is no way in this world that Arbitrum is going to be a better performer than Solana. Absolutely not. And then I thought about Blur and I was like, do I really like Blur more than Solana? Well, maybe it's a smaller coin. It probably has a chance of outperforming, but it's also just much more risky. I'd rather just bet on Solana. It has a higher probability of paying off. So then I was like, fuck it, I'm going to buy more Solana. And as well as this, I saw signs of underlying strength. So Solana was being talked about in Twitter and YouTube as if it had top 3 mindshare, right? You have Bitcoin, how much it's talked about, Ethereum, how much it's talked about, and then we had Solana, the top 3 talked about coin, but it's not a top 3 coin, it's a top 7 coin. So I realized that its price, its valuation to its, its social presence was completely uncorrelated. And as well as this, we had a big Breakpoint conference coming up in about 2 months. And I thought to myself, fuck, Solana last time the conference was here, it rallied hard. And this, the ecosystem has died, right? Or at least from a perception standpoint to people not involved in Solana, Solana had died. So this conference was probably going to expose to people how much is still being developed on Solana, how big and thriving the ecosystem still is. And that means that once people understand Solana isn't dead, the price is probably never going to come back down to these levels ever again. So then I was like, fuck, I'm really underexposed to Solana, and it's got underlying strength, right? The price action here, basically, I'm not going to show you I can try to show you actually. So that was September 20, right? September 20. And also up here, you can see the price action. So we can do a comparison. Okay, so basically you can see here that Bitcoin was pretty much flat, but Solana was going up. So there was an underlying strength in Solana that I was beginning to recognize, right? This is flat, this is an uptrend. You can see that Bitcoin, it was more on the later part of it, but I was just basically recognizing underlying strength, right, in the price action. That's a bit of a comparison for you. So I doubled my Solana position. I told everyone in the mastermind, and I think I talked about this at some point in the course as well. And Solana was my highest conviction play from a fundamental standpoint. The fundamentals case was just getting stronger. So it made sense to allocate heavier into it. Now, this position obviously ended up paying off. Everyone who listened is up, is this at $20? Is it $60? You made a 3x in like a month or two. And so that's an example of a successful swapping losers for winners, right? That was a logic-based decision. I considered the second and third order consequences of the fact that, okay, this breakpoint conference is going to expose to people that Solana isn't dead and they're never going to think it's dead again. So that means the price will never be this low again, right? Second, third order consequence. I realized that I wanted to hold it more than the other coins, so logical decision. And I looked at the price action and it was outperforming, right? On the low time frame, it was beginning to show signs of outperformance. So all logical viewpoints. So if you want to chase a pump, right, then you have to do what I did. Logical based decision. This is what you need to avoid, chasing pumps using emotions. Every coin in a bull run goes up. If you hold an underperforming coin, but it's a short, actually no, there's a few main points, main takeaways that I actually made up that we'll go over. So here's the biggest difference between the emotional and the logic-based decision. One was a catalyst of emotions, one was a catalyst of position size and thesis. One was a proactive decision, making a change before something happened. One was a reactive decision, making the change after something had happened. One was considering third and second order consequences. One wasn't. One was looking forward in time, what might happen in the future. One was more looking backwards, what had already happened. So if you want to avoid chasing pumps, here's the questions you should ask yourself. Am I wanting to sell because I am emotional, that my coin isn't pumping and the rest of the market is? Did the underlying thesis in my project change to justify selling? Is the upside still asymmetric in the coin I want to buy? Or is it already pumped too much? Am I just following the cognitive bias of herd mentality? Bandwagon effect. Remember, we talked about the cognitive biases earlier in the course. Is my coin experiencing temporary laggard price performance? Or is this a longer term underperformance concern? Right? So if you ask yourself these questions, you're going to be able to know if you are chasing a pump or making a smart decision from selling a laggard or selling a loser and buying a winner. Okay? So that's this video. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.